is the movie about, Richard Stanley?
Yeah, the theatre Bizare is drawn on the tradition of Grand Guignol, a very honourable tradition in France. The basis of our whole modern gore scene, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a chance. I mean, David Gregory, Severin, and the whole team at Severin kind of approached a lot of directors who are known for kind of doing more unusual work within the genre, or maybe don't work, you know, as widely and at such a mainstream level as a lot of you know, sort of contemporaries do, to basically go with pure total artistic freedom and explore, yeah, basically short stories with absolute carte blanche. The only sort of guideline was that the Grand Guignol, of course, which is a theater in the 1800s, which is basically the beginning of modern gore or modern extreme horror, you know, that basically you would make a film that would be projected, let's say, in this theater today, which a theater which Udo Kier is the host of in an episode that Jeremy Kasdan directed. So yeah, it was basically really cool. It was an amazingly rare opportunity, because although it was, you know, a low-budget film, we were given a chance to basically go out and go without having the man on our shoulders. You know, the team at Severin were so amazing with really supporting the artists and letting us do it. Sure, we're used to maybe making movies with, you know, more money, but that doesn't really mean anything when you can have much more freedom and basically an open portal to where your only limits are financial. And even then, we had enough money still to make a film, a proper film. So that was a great gift. So you know, I think the Theatre Bizarre is kind of a unique opportunity in a sense that it doesn't try to be an anthology movie that fits in a lot of molds. Each story is radically different. At the same time, there's some underlying themes that are kind of consistent, Richard. I don't know if you think what some of these underlying themes that are consistent may be.
Well, the thing does seem to return repetitively to relationships and the issue of love, which I guess is something that we all return to too morbidly and too frequently.
Well, of course, love is horror, and horror is love. And, you know, that's a big part of this film, I think. And I think every story is, in a weird way, a kind of love story.
A love story, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Always liked anthology horror movies, and I was editing a featurette on a movie called Aria, which was an art house anthology movie. And while I was doing it, I thought this would actually be a much better movie if it was horror filmmakers making horror films. And I thought a good overriding theme would be to set it in a Grand Guignol theatre, and in particular, if the Grand Guignol theatre was a movie theatre, then I could ask different directors if they would make a movie that could show in this theatre. But other than that, they could do whatever they wanted, as long as it would be appropriate to play in this theatre. And so I had met, I think, all of the directors before I approached them. Kareem actually was the first director that I approached about the idea, and he liked it, so that kind of gave me the confidence to approach other people. He suggested Doug Buck, and Richard, we'd put out his movie Hardware on the DVD label that I co-own called Severin, and everybody really seemed into the idea, in particular because it had that kind of wide umbrella that they could pretty much do what they wanted, to actually deliver a movie with complete creative freedom.
We're aware of what each other were doing, but essentially we're given our heads to each one go in our own different way. It just happens because we're all men that I think each one of us is obsessed with relationships in different ways.
Yeah, but I mean, we all consulted each other. We all saw each other's cuts and, you know, gave each other comments. So it wasn't at all this closed everybody in their corner kind of thing. It was a really great spirit of collaboration, and that's something that David Gregory really fostered. That you know, we shouldn't be hiding in our corner and get mad at the other people. You know, it's like we're all there to help. We're all there to try to make the film as best as it can be. So it was very open dialogue, which is, again, very, very, very rare, and it's a great opportunity. I mean, when does this happen, you know?
I think it's also because all of us had final cut over our segments, so we knew that there was always the ability to say, well, I'm just going to do it this way anyway, which made us all very open towards listening to what everyone else had to say.
Yeah.
There was nothing threatening about it.
And
whereas in a studio situation where people come steaming in with ideas, you're always frightened that they're going to basically enforce their will come hell or high water.
yeah, and I think for some of us, it was actually one of the first times that we actually had a proper final cut on a proper film that's going to come out. So that, other than the really low budget stuff we did on our own, so that's another great thing. Just the power of Final Cut actually makes you, and this is something for people to take note of. If you give a director a Final Cut, the director will be far more open to listen to suggestions. Whereas, you know, if you're automatically saying, you know, you don't have control, there'll be just there'll be a friction coming in. So, note to people: give more Final Cut, and you'll find your ideas will be more in the film.
There was no involvement in the script. I mean, everybody submitted their script, and they were discussed amongst ourselves. But there was never a situation where it was like, oh no, you can't do this, or anything like that. So but it was more to get an idea of what everybody was doing. But yeah, I do think in a situation like this, I mean, I've been going to horror film festivals in particular since I was quite a young lad, and it was always important to know that the filmmaker was actually getting their vision across, and they were often talking about it. I mean, I saw Richard's first film, Hardware, at its British premiere the same night that I saw several other British premieres at a horror film festival called Shock Around the Clock, and there was always talk about things being uncut and the way the director wanted it and things like that. So I think if you're going to get challenging filmmakers involved in a project like this, you absolutely need to give them creative freedom. What is the point in getting a bunch of people who have, you know, very unique and very specific visions and then telling them they have to do it a certain way? So it made complete sense to just say, okay, go ahead and come back. And of course, all the people that we got involved are people that I admired and liked their work. So, you know, it was very exciting to know that they would come back with something, you know, that was purely them.
Theatre Bizare has its world premiere.
Gala world premiere.
Gala world premiere on Saturday, July 16th, which is technically tomorrow at
9:20
p.m. At
yeah.
night, in the dark, in the night, at the Hall Theatre Concordia.